And I think exploring corruption within police, especially as an American, is really intriguing and important. And Frank Grillo and I are best friends. We've known each other since I was 26. We've done, God, like countless films together. And he's so brilliant in this film. And I was at home one night and he hit me up and he was like, "Hey kid, like, there's this movie I think that you really like. Like, can I send you the offer for it?" And so I found out about the film through Frankie. And so Frankie thought that I'd be good to play this part. And working with him and Mekhi Phifer and Scott Adkins and Cowboy Cerrone, like I really like doing action a lot.
Yeah.
It's very fun, it's dangerous. And I think it's so imperative for films like this to have characters that are really rooted in truth, that so that the stakes are very high because it really is about the stakes in the story. And these actors are masters at their craft, both within the ring and out of the ring. And I really love the experience of audiences being able to have the opportunity to see how hard we work to make them feel something. Do you know what I mean? Because these are like, it's not like playing around, these stunts are not any kind of joke because it's real. Like it's actually like the fighting is real. Like what's happening is real. Obviously people getting hurt is not real. But the amount of training and years and years and years that it takes to be able to do these kinds of films because it's naturally inside of you as a human being, like something that you really love. It's pretty extraordinary. So I'm very proud of this movie.
Yeah, and Jamie, in terms of those darker, sort of complicated, sort of characters, say the two sides of a bladed knife, do you get a sort
Yes.
of a thrill playing those sort of characters that, dare I say, that you're neither friend nor foe, dare I
Mm,
say, in terms of that? Is that a sort of a rush for you as an actress in terms of to play that two-sided coin, dare I say?
yes, because human beings are all kinds of sides, and characters like this it's quite Shakespearean in a way. And so what I enjoy about it is rooting myself not just in the character, but who I am and seeing, okay, who am I in this person? Who am I not in this person? Right. And rooting it from a place of loving. So the backstory behind Detective Ridgway is really that her husband is sick and is dying of cancer and she has a child. And so you don't see that. You briefly see it like in a moment, but we don't extrapolate on it because there always has to be a need for why someone would become corrupt. And doing this movie, I did a lot of research specifically with detectives. And I was like, okay, why would, X, Y, Z happen? Why would X, Y? I don't want to give away like the plot of
Yeah.
the film. But what is the cause for someone to become corrupt? And there are on that list very few causes, right? According to the officers here, it's like either, someone's an alcoholic or an addict, or they like to get into this level of trouble, they'd have to do something, with the cartels, like something really wrong. And I wanted it to be where there was another inciting incident for her, that had to drive her as a mother and as a partner, as a wife, to go to the lengths that she goes to, because that's what really makes a fully dimensional human being, rather than just playing a bad guy to play a bad guy. There has to be, for me as an actor, and the way that I was trained, a really honest way to step into that.
And Jamie, you mentioned there about doing your research and going out and about and meeting these sort of real life people to get these sort of insight. And we see many actors and actresses who take on these sorts of roles, and they play them as sort of regular police officers and as such. But we all know there's a big difference between the life of a detective and a life of a police officer. And not many people are sort of accustomed to the role or the involvement of how higher up the detective sort of powers goes in terms of drugs, money laundering, in terms of what they have to deal with and all dare say the fantastic police officer and cops that do a great job on the beat in the street. But a detective is more, it's a different sort of job in terms of its sort of variety and in terms of its level as well. So were you determined to bring that across in terms of your portrayal as Ellen Ridgway, the difference between a detective and a regular cop, and to try and portray her in that sense and to do her justice in terms of a detective more than a police officer?
Yes, it definitely that's a really good question. You know, to become a detective, you have to start off as an officer. The training is like, as you get X many hours or X many days or years on the force, then you can train to become a detective. What I love about my experiences with detectives, which have been for many, many years, I'm very fascinated about the structure and the dynamics within the police force and within politics. And their level of training is really astonishing. And they're very much like actors in a way, in terms of, or like psychologists or like people that are intrinsically interested in the understanding of human behavior and why people do what they do. And so whether it's forensic linguistics or behavioral patterns, et cetera, all of that I find extremely fascinating, because that's what I do with my craft. That's what it means to be an actor, is you literally have to understand why human beings are doing what human beings are, yeah, again, doing. And I remember I started actually doing this research, I would say like 7, 8 years ago. I became obsessed with understanding the minds of police officers and detectives. And I asked a detective what it was like for him to go home after he had seen the things that he had seen for so long. And he said that he would put everything in a box and throw away the key. And I said, well, respectfully, sir, you've been doing this for almost 40 years. You know, that's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of boxes. And he said, yes. And I know one day that they will all have to be unlocked. And there was something very powerful about that. And we were having this conversation while I was trying to put together a toy train for my children when I was filming a movie called Escape Plan that I did. Escape Plan, oh, that was the third. I did a franchise. So I did 2 of them, but it was with Stallone and 50 Cent and Dave Bautista and brilliant actors. And it was just mesmerizing to me, and also horrifying at the same time, that as this father of 3 children who is a detective, and also that lead detective of the state and the county, basically, like, also, like, you know, he could cross precincts, that as we're putting together this toy train, he's letting me know very honestly that when he goes home, it's as if nothing happened, so that he can live and function within a family life and be a good father and a good person and good parent. And so taking that the humanity of what that kind of level of dedication and service is, and then adding the corruption into it, like, what would it take to make someone corrupt? And then so it's all of these different layers of research and all of these different layers to then bring in all this action and aliveness to the story, you know? And it's really exciting, you know? It's like, all movies to me are like doing a play. You know, that's why it's like, again, the Shakespearean aspect of it. It's really very much in this film.
And I suppose, Jamie, in terms of the production of the movie now, in terms of from time you arrived on set to wrapping and shooting, was it quintessential 6 to 8 weeks? And where did you start to shoot
No.
at Lights Out?
Oh, Jim, I wish it was.
Okay.
You'll lose your mind if you, okay. I shot this movie in less than 11 days.
Okay, wow, that's a fast start to turn around. Were the producers and directors running to really a tight schedule in terms of costs and production, in terms of what they needed to achieve in a certain maximum or stuff like that?
Yeah, so it's this really interesting thing that's really challenging for filmmaking now, is that, you know, going through the pandemic, you know, everything was shut down. When I was doing my show that I produce and star in Black Summer for Netflix, we were the first production back up for Netflix and all like for the entire slate, right? And the first production to make it through completely COVID clean in the world. And the amount of time and cost and money and restrictions are so intense. And so when we got to the sort of point where, where we got through the hardcore lockdowns here and around the world, then it was like, okay, how can you get into filming a film, right? Get everyone in there, stay aligned with COVID protocols, which are very, very strict, far beyond what people would think. All of the testing for hundreds and hundreds of people have to be in at the same time. You have to use many different labs. I mean, it's very intense. If one person gets sick, the production shuts down. So we came to this thing where you had to learn how to make movies and keep entertainment going for the planet in very minimal amounts of time. So what's extraordinary about it is that like you get to see that all of the work that we've done for decades and decades and the dedication of artists and filmmakers and producers and crews and cast that we know how to take challenging, limited time and opportunity per se, and make magic out of it. And that's the really exciting thing about it is seeing crews come together and cast come together and making an amazing movie, with only X amount of days. I mean, the totality of the film wasn't just 11 days, but when, the totality of like my work on the film was, right? And technically like a little bit less than that. And so what it does is that we typically on a set, we normally work 12 to 15 hours anyways. Like that's just a minimum. 12 hours of like the bare minimum that we work a day. But it's just efficiency, and it's our duty and it's our responsibility to entertain people. And that's just been the state of filmmaking during that particular time, was that all films were having to work on very tight schedules to reduce the risk of anyone getting sick. And so it's really exciting. I think that working under that kind of pressure sometimes is really shows you what it is that we can all do as a collective community artistically. And especially when you have like some of the world's greatest stars in that film.
And Jamie, you mentioned some of the world's greatest stars, and you mentioned being on set and obviously seeing some of those stunt scenes and fight sequences up close. And dare I say, I imagine that it was fairly intense when the guys were going at it. And as an actress, do you sort of revel in watching other people work in terms of stunt work and mesmerizing? And is it mesmerizing for you? And do you think maybe there are some pointers that I can pick up for myself for going forward in different roles that if I want to get hands on myself? And do you sort of like interacting with the various different productions of a film crew in terms of the stunt crew,
Yes.
photography, wardrobe? Do you find it intriguing learning about their professions and their day jobs and what makes them take and boil over as well? Because you're all involved in the one industry, you're all pulling together to provide the one
We're a
product.
family. We're a family. And there's no way for me to be on a set or to produce the way I produce as a filmmaker or to act or to write or to direct as I do without being intrinsic. Like we're all inherently one. And so there is not one department that I'm not very intimately involved or connected with, because if we're talking about wardrobe, every single piece is providing information as to who this character is in this world is. Set decoration, grips, electrics, camera. I mean, everything, every single department informs the other one. And like I said, we're a family and we're one organism. With stunts and learning from other performers, I am consistently learning from other performers, consistently learning from every single department. Like that's the most exciting thing about what it is that I do. And that's the safest that I feel, is because there's always something to learn, to master your craft. It is limitless. It's so exciting to watch people thrive. Like what people do on sets is so miraculous to me that I'm constantly in awe. I'm constantly grateful. When it comes to stunts and action, I've, really like my interest in that really started with before, like when I did Bulletproof Monk, we trained with the Matrix team for 6 months, Sean William Scott, Chow Yun Fat, and myself. And I've always loved stunts. I'm a very physical person. I'm a dancer. I love working with guns. I love working with my body. And I love the meticulous, precise nature of it, because it's not only the precise nature of, of understanding the strength of your own body, but how hard you have to train, how hard you have to work. And I like that discipline and the relationship between that and the person that you're doing the scene with, right? Because it's so intense. God bless you.
Yeah.
And the camera also, it's so dangerous. It's super dangerous. And so I really enjoy keeping sets safe, learning how to keep electricity for audiences, and the again, the discipline that goes into it,
And I suppose,
it's just
Jamie,
extraordinary.
yeah, Jamie, the penultimate question now, second last question before I let you leave us today here in Ireland. And we before we came on air, we talked about, we had a general discussion, and you're a much traveled actress. You've been all over the world. You've been involved in
Not
the
freaking Ireland.
Yeah, you've been involved in the industry now for a well, a decade or two now at this stage. In terms
That
of
was 19.
yeah, your
So
involvement.
3, 4. Yeah,
Yeah,
long time.
and in terms of your involvement, and I'm sure you have many Irish actors that are friends of yours, or you're on good acquaintance that you've worked with in the past.
Yes.
And dare I say, do you ever think of maybe hooking up with one of those Irish actors or actresses and paying a visit to the Emerald Isle? And if you were to go
Oh
to
yes.
Ireland,
Oh yes. Oh yes.
who would be your tour guide to show you around in terms of
God,
your friends?
yeah. Maybe Tommy O'Flanagan.
Okay, okay, okay. In terms of that. And Jamie King, the penultimate question, the final question for you now, I suppose. February the 16th, 2 days after Valentine's, I suppose. All the loving, dare I say, from all around the world has maybe just quenched a tiny bit, and people are saying they're sort of dare I say, they want to get hyped and pumped, and they're feeling in that sort of mood, dare I say it, for a bit of bit of blood boiling action. Why should they go out on February the 16th, head to their cinemas and their planes, trains, automobiles, tractors, whatever mode of transport, get to that cinema, hook up on that sort of recliner cinema seat, kick off the shoes, stretch out the feet, have the popcorn, the Pepsi, the Maltesers, watch Lights Out, and Jamie King, what's in store for them?
Because it's effing great.
Okay, okay, one-liner, in terms of
It's
summarizing.
really great. And by the way, it's a hard thing to answer when you gave it the best description you possibly could already.
The best description in terms of sitting in the cinema. I'd be falling asleep, Jamie, even before the movie came if we had that sort
Why?
of.
Because of running around trying to find Valentine's Day gifts. I think that people get terribly depressed during Valentine's oftentimes. So I think that's precisely the reason why people need to go to the theaters and see the movie, because it's fantastic. It's extraordinarily entertaining. The actors are brilliant. We worked our asses off, and it's really fun.
On
And we
that
get to be in
note,
theaters. It's huge. Like it's so like so many films do not get to be in theaters anymore, and so that says everything.
yeah. And Jamie, just to finally say, if Tommy's not available, we'll do the tour guide experience. We won't charge for it anyway. But
Really?
lastly, before we let you go, do check out Lights Out on February the 16th, out in all cinemas across Ireland, featuring an all-star cast including Scott Adkins, Frank Grillo, Dermot Mulroney, Marion Alasco, Mackay Pfeiffer, all action, all thriller. And do check out Jaime King as a role, and Detective Ellen Ridgway. Lights Out, February the 16th, 2024. All that's left for me, Jim Conlan, to say to you, Jaime King, we wish you a prosperous 2024. Stay safe, take care, God bless, and hopefully, please God, we'll speak to you sometime in the future again. But for the moment, Jamie, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.